My biggest fear was getting bored. I clearly saw that the life initially offered to me was too small, too confined. I didn't dream of becoming president right away, but I had the strong desire to climb as high as possible. And I can give you my word of honor that not one person was able to tell me no. All my life, people told me, "You're going too fast, calm down, it's not for you." And all those who told me it's too early are the same ones who later told me it's too late. Never listen to the advice of those who tell you it's too big for you. Life will take care of filing down your ambitions. Don't file them down yourself. Start strong and accelerate. It's not guaranteed to work, but if you don't do that, it's certain it won't work. Often the worst advice comes from those who love you, because they want to protect you and always step on the brake. I adored my mother, who is no longer with us. She was truly wonderful, she worked hard, and she was alone. She always thought I was going too fast. When I became a mayor, she told me, "There, take it easy." I became a deputy. Are you happy now? I became a minister. I invited her. It was the first time I invited her to an official dinner. "Nicholas, calm down." And when I arrived at the Élysée, she finally said, "Mom, there's Europe, there's the world, and it's the people who love you who, with all their heart, often don't give you good advice. You have the strength within you, and if you don't have it, no one will have it for you. If you don't have ambition for yourself, your neighbor won't have it for you." That's what I think. No, it's my life. Of course, one could be perfectly happy without climbing to the summit of the Himalayas by the North Face in winter, but you must have dreams. You must have dreams when you are young and when you are an adult. You must transform your dreams into reality. And the last thing I want to tell you is that you must passionately love failure. Because if you don't love failure, you will never know success. Great failures prepare for great successes. Without failure, there is no ambition, no risk-taking, no decision. I have failed a lot in my life. I remember all my failures. My successes, I've completely forgotten. But it's the failures that built the successes. And that applies to a president of the republic as much as to anyone else. Don't be afraid of failure. What you should fear is not playing your hand. It's not going for it. It's having regrets. If you want something, go for it all the way. It works. It doesn't work. You fall, you get back up. As Nelson Mandela said, "I never lose. Either I win or I learn." There is nothing more true. I wish you to learn until the last second of your life. I learned from all the bosses I worked with. I took everything from them. I am a sponge. I observed them, telling myself, if he can do it, so can you. But I didn't have a role model with a photo in my room. I worked with Chirac, I worked with Juppé, I worked with Séguin, I worked with Giscard, I worked with Mitterrand, I worked with Balladur. From everyone I learned, and from everyone I told myself, I'm going to be better. It's not arrogance, but you need confidence. You shouldn't stare like the cobra charmed by the snake charmer. You have to learn, and that helped me a lot. I learned from everything, including what I didn't like about them. I learned energy from Chirac. I learned about files from Balladur. I learned precision from Giscard. I learned royalty from Mitterrand. But I didn't have a model, but I had an unquenchable thirst for learning. I wanted to progress. I wanted to climb. I wanted to be the best. And when I was elected, it was like an anvil I had within me that I could finally place on the table. I did it. That's why people say youth is the most beautiful age. That means nothing. First, life is nothing but a succession of rebirths. Life is not a succession of small deaths. It's a succession of rebirths. We are reborn. We are reborn after a failure. We are reborn after a betrayal. We are reborn after an illness. We are reborn after a disappointment. It's never over until the last second, and you must live it to the fullest. Our lives last as long as a postage stamp, but we act as if we are eternal. That is the only way to live. Everything else is nonsense. Everything else is nothing. Love life. Enjoy it to the fullest. Play your cards to the fullest, and that's not. You will have trials, divorces, failures, disappointments, humiliations. Turn them into energy, all serving energy, and we are reborn. You know, at the end of Dostoevsky's wonderful Crime and Punishment, the hero Raskolnikov says, Thus began the slow but sure rebirth of Raskolnikov. We are reborn until the very end. And I understood very, very young that when I spoke in my class, people listened to me. It was a feeling, an impression. I was a very average student. If you knew I was bored in school, I only woke up after. And what you need is for each of you to have an inclination, a talent, something you do better than others. You must develop it to the fullest. For me, you could put me in training 8 hours a day to become an Olympic athletics champion. Forget it. It's not work that gives talent. It's talent that gives the desire to work. When you are 4 years old and in the schoolyard, you leave your friends 10 meters behind, you can become Usain Bolt. When you're among the first to learn guitar with perfect pitch, you'll work like crazy on the guitar because you've seen the potential. So you need to think carefully about what you love, what you do better than others, and value that fully. At 14, I was in the street talking to myself. People thought I was crazy. I was giving a speech in front of 2 million spectators. On bad days, on good days, there were more. And so after that, I learned to speak. And for a long time, it took me a very long time to learn to take the risk of silence. When you have 100,000 people in front of you, and all of a sudden you stop, I wanted there to be no sneeze in the room. I understood that it was more difficult to gain attention than to provoke applause. That is the work. I captivate the room and the audience. I bring them to interest. That's work. But originally, why? I don't know. I had this energy and this desire to speak, and for a long time I broke down doors, even when they were open. Why did you break the door? It was a reflex. If I wasn't invited, I brought the cutlery, the tablecloth, the drinks, the food. If I had to serve, I served. I entered. So don't put your pride in the wrong place. Pride is not in the means, it's in the end. That's what you have to do. After all, where does all this come from? Why do we have it? Why don't we have it? Everyone has strengths. For one, it's the mind. For another, it's the physique. For the third, it's speech. For the fourth, it's sensitivity. Everyone has a strength. Go find it and develop it. You are your own diamond. Go find that and shape it. That's what I didn't have an example. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a charming teacher, but I had something within me. It's an illness. When I decided to run for office in May, at 28, my whole family gathered. Don't go, they'll kill me. I left the table. I only spoke to them again once I was elected. They love me. I want to say something very personal. When I divorced in October 2007, I suffered greatly, and my poor mother told me, I saw you in public. Love is over. But I said, do you know who you're talking to? A month later, I met Carla, whom I had never seen before. 2.5 months later, we were married. I am a man who makes decisions. Nothing was lost. Nothing. Nothing. Yes. And well, one thing, all of you will have personal, romantic disappointments. So if you don't have any, I don't want to be your friend. But you learn from that, you recover from that, and you build something else. Better, stronger, bigger, more intense. It's not the end, it's the beginning. In terms of marriage, I told myself, if one day I am president, I will be a living man. I won't be a pillar of salt. And being sentimental, but it's an asset. Cold hearts, cold personalities. You've met the unfortunate ones. When it hurts, you have to say it. When it feels good, you have to say it. You have to live. Live. There are 2 important things in life. There aren't 3. To love and to work. To work and to love. We human beings are made for that. To work and to love. To love and to work. There's nothing else. You shouldn't oppose one to the other. Because what is your professional life worth if there is no love, no feeling? If you don't love the people you work with? And what is your love worth if for 40 years you're just looking into each other's eyes locked in a room, even with significant physical performances? You can get used to it. Love and work. Freud said something very intelligent. If you have no problem working, and if you have no problem loving, you don't need psychoanalysis. I don't need psychoanalysis. So yes, feelings are very important. You don't have 2 lives. You don't have a life at work and a life at home. You have one life. You are both a professional and a lover, or rather, a mother or a fiancé or a boyfriend or whatever you want. Both. Oh yes, really, no. Feelings are very important.